You're just going to
Mm.
have someone who's going to keep moving you in that direction versus someone who brings you back into that fearful state where you like you easily go back versus moving forward.
Was coach a really big thing for you as well in your journey to, like to design the life that you wanted, and also someone else like, like giving you the kick or the push?
Yeah, and it's interesting. I've had several different people I've worked with. I've had people I've worked with who I paid a lot, and I have people who coached me for free, like just out of kindness of their hearts. And I think it's also figuring out who are the right people at the right time. So I don't think,
Mm.
I know some people you could have one coach forever, and if they're amazing, like it's like Bob Proctor and he's coaching, like that's one thing. But I think there's some people, like I know there's some people who are brilliant at some things, but when it comes to certain things, that's where like you have to take a step back. Because they have a ton of knowledge and a ton of awareness on certain topics. But when it comes to other topics, what they could say might actually hold you back. So it's also
Mm.
understanding like what this coach is good at and what they could do to get you to where you want to go. And then when it's a time to step back or talk to someone else.
Yeah. How has your journey been with coaches? Just tell me a little bit, maybe, with
Sure.
what coach you used for what question in your
Yeah.
life, and like how did you switch from one to another?
Yeah, so I originally started with this woman named Catherine Noer, and she's an amazing person. And I was really drawn to her because I originally found out like this idea of creating business and entrepreneurship from this woman named Anne Ray. Didn't end up working with her, and I'm grateful I didn't because that probably would have been a good fit. But I just started discovering, and I really got interested in this idea of being able to make a living from your art in art school. Like it wasn't something no one spoke about business or any of these like things that are actually important.
Yeah.
You're living with your art. It's crazy. Um, so, but she presented the idea to me and it got me really intrigued. So I started doing more research and somehow I got this Facebook group with this woman named Catherine O'Hare. And I ended up working with her, I'd say about like 2-3 years. And she was great, but it just reached a point where I felt like I just felt like the advice I was getting, like she was giving me good feedback, but I felt like because she covered such a broad spectrum of things, like I wasn't getting the advice I needed to build the business that I want to build.
Mm.
So I was at the point where I was looking for more answers. I was just looking for someone to kind of guide me in the right direction. So I think at one point I started traveling to events across the country back in the day when we were able to travel freely. And that was like very eye-opening. And then I just started like really expanding my circle of friends and like entrepreneurs in my world, which was amazing. And then I had people who were essentially guiding me. And then it wasn't until really this year when I started diving back into investing myself specifically in coaching. And the woman who started guiding me was really in her program, Alexis Feedmore, and she was teaching me like what she's great at is really helping you understand really establishing an online art business or just an online business. So what she teaches you is business principles and like really understanding like how to establish yourself, understanding that like as a business, you're either engaging or making offers, which is huge. It's really key to understand that. And
So
also
say again, how it's like either engaging or.
making offers as an online business.
Okay,
And
interesting.
it was really interesting when I became like so clear and so obvious, like a lot of things she teaches, it's not like crazy out of the box ideas. It's very simple
Mm.
ideas, but until they're presented to you, it's not something unless you're a very business savvy person from the start and this is
Yeah.
the ways to think.
How did that help you? For example, this what you said, like engaging or giving offers. Like, how did that change your view? Like, what you started doing differently in your business?
Gave me so much clarity in the direction I need to go in and maybe also be very clear on who my ideal clients are because that was a big question mark for me for so long. So people are like, you have to figure out and like without knowing, I would try to figure out with networking like what do they look like, what do they dress like, and I was starting to get some things here and there. And networking was so much fun, but there was always that like I was always feeling like I felt stuck at a certain point, like you're limited to by who shows up to the event. So I always
Mm-hmm.
felt like there was always like a ceiling there with that strategy. And then when I learned about that idea, and I'm like, it just really gets you very clear on like, okay, what are you doing? Where should your time be focused? So I'm like, this is now what I teach my students because I teach artists how to develop their style and build businesses. I'm like, you're either engaging, you're creating, or making offers. That's essentially what you're doing with
Mm-hmm.
business. And it really gets you to simplify. And then it also gets you really clear, well, who are my ideal clients? And let's actually just focus on building an audience of these people versus trying to sell to everyone, because that's just crazy.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the importance on that, because it is like a big topic, like know your perfect client, but also maybe from you, like tell your experience, like before and after, like once you,
Yeah.
like you knew who your perfect client is.
It makes such a difference, like such a huge difference, because otherwise you're just trying to sell to everyone and you're in this exhausting hustling thing and you're like, why aren't these people buying? And you're just trying to understand this. But when you know who your ideal clients are, and I actually take my students to this exercise, and I've been telling this to everyone, so I literally find people who resonate with you and your why, because I think the why is the foundation of your business, like your why for why you do what you do. And it has to be more than like, oh, I can't see myself doing anything else, because that's what almost everyone
Really? Oh my god. But that's not an answer.
Yeah, it has to be something like your core. It's actually your core, your purpose, and it's the why behind everything that you do or you want to do in the world.
So for example, for someone like, what would you tell me? Like, I want to inspire people.
It has to
That's
be
super broad, huh?
broad, because I could say the same thing, and I'm sure thousands of other people say the same thing. So it has to be something that's so true to who you are. And it's something I've discovered, it changes and evolves over time. Or as you discover more about yourself, you discover more about what it is. Like, I originally thought my why a few months ago was to bring love and joy into people's lives. And yeah, that's part of my why. But my real why is actually connecting people with who they are and why they're here on this planet. And to me, that's like, and I kind of realized how to do that through like everything that I do.
So if I said helping people change their perspectives, or I'm not sure perspectives or paradigms, but so how you view something, like, because we're so focused, like I can see that thing in that way, and then someone else comes in and they're like, wait, but like come and look from this side, and I'm like super good for like with that. Would you say that's too broad as well? Or
It's hard to say right now. Like I say, like, look at your story. Like, what are the pivotal moments that led up to this point that define what your why is? Like, my why is so key to me because I lost myself when I was in that crazy situation. I lost who I was. And then I've been in the process of connecting to who I was. And what was so interesting when I started diving into personal development, that was also one thing that really excited me about entrepreneurship, because I learned all about personal development. I was like, oh, this is so cool. I realized a lot of people were so disconnected from who they are. So many people today don't even know who they are. So to me, it was like this huge wake-up call. And it's like, whoa, so many people are living lives that are so disconnected. And they're just doing things that they think they have to do versus actually being intentional and taking control of their lives and doing like what they're naturally good at taking a look and being like, what do I actually love to do? What am I naturally good at? And actually then coming up with a plan to like, or asking for help to figure out how you could bring this to life, right? Making it into something so you can actually spend your life doing work that's meaningful to you, that actually makes the world a better place.